So this week's episode of Kaguya-sama Love is War honestly was one of the more dramatic and serious episodes that the past 18 episodes of Kaguya-sama has seen to date. And you can tell that this is probably the direction we're going in over time, where the more story arcs and the more the way the little skits kind of link together, the more time we're going to have for things to maybe slow down or at certain points within this episode speed up and crash into a wall, but focus more on the dramatic rather than the laughs. But still remembering the laughs are something that we really love, which is why at the end of this episode you get Chika and Yu and even Kaguya thinking they're going to be replaced when really, Miyuki, why would he replace them? They're literally the reason he stuck around. But it's nice to see how much they focused on Miko, because honestly, I like her character. I disagreed with her promises, but when she was first really introduced and was given a speaking role and saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do, or, just kind of giving you that little talk saying like, oh, she actually has some sound ideas, and why would you want to settle on the current student council? Even if they've done a great job, are you just going to settle for great? Like, shouldn't they always try to improve? She had some good remarks, but then as she got going, you kind of saw the insanity, but still, there was a politician in the making there. She just needed that guiding hand, and obviously, she was not better suited than someone like, obviously, Miyuki. He was most definitely deserving of a second run at being the president of the student council. So I like how they really focus back in on her rather than giving a lot of the focus on the main cast that we're used to, because now we have a new main character part of the student council. It was a really smart move for them to do it this way, because what they ended up doing was, whether you loved her character before, whether you hated her character from before, or whether you're kind of like me, you kind of saw both sides, where you're like, she's got some good ideas, but she's also a little unhinged. What they ended up doing was they made us feel for this girl, and the fact that characters like you weren't about beating her by making her a laughingstock because a character like him knows what it feels like to be laughed at and ridiculed, but rather, you want to crush your opponent in a respectable way, rather than giving in to a lot of the hostilities that basically politics are known for. Obviously, this is very small. There's only, like 700 people voting in this election. This isn't like an actual country election, but still, you can tell there was a lot of hostility and just look at what Kaguya did. She got people to drop out of the race by basically just manipulating with her words, or just really pushing certain groups to vote for her man, right? There was a lot of scummy, or just ones could say politics, little aspects that were used in this campaign, but I like how it ended in honestly one of the more respectable ways I don't think anyone expected unless you knew the source material. Having it be built up that this girl has, ever since a young age, just really respected school, and she would go to school early, and she would always do everything to be the best person she could. It's just she was too opinionated. She definitely was, and it's understandable why people would bully her or make fun of her or push back against her when you have a girl screaming, don't bring anything that's fun to school, right? It doesn't excuse the actions that happened to her, but you can see what led to have certain things happen with her. And it's interesting how her friend always stuck by her, and because honestly, Glasses Girl I thought was just she was going to be some wild card that would try to stab people in the back, maybe not literally, because the only people we've seen with a knife in this show we were worried about, but still kind of believed they weren't actually going to do anything with it, or at least probably not in this scene. So I was interested to see what the punchline was going to be with this whole arc, and honestly the punchline of it just being a girl who just wanted to fit into a student council, who had some good ideas but also was a little too opinionated, which then drove away the potential people who could get her to basically have some votes and things like that. And just seeing how time after time she got less confident. She can throw it in your face directly, but a crowd, it's understandable. I'm kind of the same way. There's a certain amount. I can do a pretty large crowd, but not to you could fill a gymnasium or something like that. Would freak me out too. So I get it. I get where she's coming from, and just it was pretty sad, honestly. And I was kind of a neutral with her going into this episode, where I had aspects that I appreciated, but then there was a lot where I was like, she's too young and naive. She needs a wake-up call. But then when I start realizing that she's had wake-up calls, I felt really bad. And this is a fictional girl who we pretty much just met, or at least, finally got the introduction to. And they actually made me feel bad for her. And I was like, oh my god, she has some dumb ideas. I still think the whole mandatory shaving head is stupid as hell. But at the same time, she did back it up with statistics. So it was nice that Miyuki went up there and gave her a chance. Had they just they would have had every single vote, most likely. Maybe that she would have had a couple because herself and probably her friend would have voted for her. But honestly, that's what would have happened. But the fact that someone like you, who knows what it's like to be ridiculed, kind of encouraged Miyuki to just go up there and basically debate her. And the debate was actually really fascinating because I thought her ideas were 100% ridiculous. And even though I still highly disagreed with them, they got me from like thinking she's absurd as thinking, I really disagree with you, but at the very least, you're backing up your points with actually sound arguments that I just personally disagree with. I would still vote for Miyuki, but at the very least, I don't think you're clinically insane anymore. So they did a great job with that debate. And I love how enthusiastic people were getting in the audience. It was just really nice. And just the little moments like Kaguya like bringing a teacher to like the anti-Miyuki crowd. So when they started like gossiping, he'd be like, shh, don't do that. There's just so much like little political things that were at play there that were just so sinister and cute and just so Kaguya-sama that I ate it completely all up. And I was surprised. Like, the thing that shocked me the most was how close the vote share was. Like, he obviously won, but it wasn't a landslide like I think they were probably expecting, but in doing so, they ended up having integrity and they were able to recruit a new person to their student council that would have just hated their guts and probably hated herself more had she just kind of rambled on and been nervous and things like that. The little moment where Kaguya like does the static on the mic to wake everyone up, those moments are so damn cool to me because it's like, it's a funny show, but then you see those little moments, you're like, that actually would work if you're doing a student council where people weren't like, you know, paying attention. They're gossiping. Sure, like they respect Kaguya, but not everyone's going to pay attention to the hotshot vice president. But then you do a little static and it wakes everyone up and then she starts talking. Glorious little moment. And honestly, the aftermath was like, it was surprisingly calm. Like, I was honestly expecting balls to the walls after that, but they just kept it calm and neutral. A couple of funny moments, like the group just worried that they're going to be replaced, and then obviously Miyuki offering two roles, and one being like, I had no interest in this all along, I just want to support my friend, and obviously knowing that Miko was going to come along eventually. And it's nice to see how they ended the episode without like showing the reactions to the characters, just her opening the door. Really special moment to me. Though they did throw in some funny moments for sure towards the very, very end with just our girl hiding under the covers and just basically freaking out thinking, oh, does the president hate me? Like, what's going on? She's just rambling on, and every time Kaguya gets into her like innocent girl phase where she cannot think rationally, and you have just characters, it doesn't matter whether it's characters directly connected to her or just literally sideline characters. They'll think, how could you think that he doesn't care for you or gives you special treatment? He literally was going to run again because you requested it. And the reason why he was going to stick around was the connections that you let him form and things like that. It's just great to see those little moments because it's a good way to give us a laugh before ending the episode. They didn't have to. They could have given it just a more dramatic flair for the entire episode, and it would have been good. It wouldn't maybe have left the same impact as normal. It would be a different type. Instead of leaving us rolling and just thinking of all the laughs we had, we'd be thinking about saying, this show is so good because it can just bounce between the really serious character arcs where characters are getting bullied and just shunned for who they are. Even if, yeah, they should change how opinionated they are, they still are a decent person at the end of the day. To then having us just laugh and roll because two characters are still flirting with each other despite knowing that they should be together. Kaguya-sama has definitely a lot to work with, and honestly, this was a fantastic episode. In a lot of ways, you probably could have said this could have been like the episode 9 or 10 for the season. We're at episode 6 of a 12-episode season, and it's like, where are we going after this? Now that the second wave of the Student Council has started, we have a new character. What Chica shenanigans are we going to see? I don't know, but I know it's going to be glorious. I was actually really impressed with the voice acting this week. Obviously, I'm always impressed, especially because we have Kaguya, and just her Japanese actress just hits it out of the park. But Miko and just the nervousness. Nervousness is something that I don't think necessarily is bad in anime, but I don't think they buy into it as much as what the visuals are directing. Like, if you have a girl shaking, basically shitting her pants on stage, just terrified to talk to the crowd, what I'm typically used to is almost like the otaku like nervousness where it's like, I mean, this kid's always nervous. Like, what's the difference here? You're not really giving a believable reaction here. But a girl who we've seen as confident, and really confident might I add, who was honestly like, this was a different character. I was like, oh, I was not expecting that. This is changing my opinion tenfold. Like, I was never a hater of you, but I mean, I kind of feel bad for some of the things I might have thought before. I still think you're opinionated and need to tone it down, but goddamn, the way she was shaking and just how, like, quiet she was, the little, like, level adjustments, like, they had a cute joke in the episode where, like, basically going in and out of Kaguya to basically make her quieter, louder, and things like that. But the way they did that with just her voice acting in terms of, like, being so terrified to then being, like, kind of that wake-up call when the president walks up, it was great. They honestly hit it out of the park with that delivery. And honestly, the characters across the board did really well. Like, that moment where Yu was basically kind of like going over why this wasn't okay. Like, I thought he was okay with it. He's like, yeah, screw this bitch, you know? He was just going off. I thought that's the direction they were going. I was like, that's interesting considering how bullied you've been and things like that. And once you see, like, what he was building up to, I love the delivery of his line as well. It just felt so, I don't know if I want to say innocent, but just humble, as if, like, he related to what's happening here. And even if it cost his friend the presidency, like, he wouldn't want to see someone be beaten like that. He would rather beat them with honor and respect. And just, the voice actors hit it out of the park, but they kind of always do, which is saying a hell of a lot because the cast in this show is stacked beyond belief. But as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this week's episode, which was very unique and refreshing for Kaguya-sama Loves War, down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, share your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.